Hello everybody, welcome back to Life Stories. My name is Trent, and as usual, I hope you're all doing great. Today, we got some stories coming at you from, you guessed it, Reddit/entitledparents. So, let's get started. Our first story is titled, "You Already Have a Child, You Should Sell Me Your New Baby." As much as I like this sub, I live in fear of having the opportunity to post here. And yet, here I am, with the realization that I have a family that I can talk about in here. Warning, English is not my first language. This is the most manipulative and ugly, literally ugly, classist, racist person I've ever met. I've worked in customer service and do politics in a totalitarian government, so it's safe to assume I've already seen the worst of the worst. She's married to my uncle. Let's call her Mary. Mary has pulled a lot of entitled stunts over the course of her life. I probably have over 100 stories that I can share that I know of. I don't talk to that part of the family because it's toxic as heck, but there are a few family gatherings in which we meet. One of those happened yesterday, and I got reminded of her golden traits, so thought you would enjoy raging with me. Her entitlement shone yesterday, as she tried to make herself the best friend of my current boss, who's married to my cousin, and he's filthy rich. Brought a friend of hers who was supposed to be strictly quarantined because she's high risk, tried to outshine the 1-month-old baby who we were all there to meet with her already grown-up daughters who we've all met, and tried to become the host of the party in a house that wasn't hers, going as far as to search and serve food from the refrigerator that wasn't designated as party servings. And to top it all off, we were also there to pray for my cousin's mother who died last week. I don't participate in Christian stuff, but she was my favorite aunt and like a second mother to me, so the moment of appreciation was very important to me, to my cousin, my other aunt, and Mary's husband, his sister. Turns out Mary decided that since we were all there to remember the dead ones, it would be a nice thing to not only take the role of the main person leading the prayers, but to also include a picture, a big one, of her mother that she pulled out of her purse and put it in front of my aunt's picture, covering it almost completely. And start with a speech of her and how she missed her mother, who died 10 years ago, and literally just say, RIP, about my aunt's death. But I'm not here today to tell you that story. Oh no, I was just venting. Since I have so much to tell and so little time, I figured it would be best if I started with the oldest tale I know of. The time she asked my mom to sell her my brother while she was 4 months pregnant. Good old Mary is infertile. She has 2 daughters. One was conceived in vitro and the other introduced in her womb. The other one popped out of nowhere, literally. We suspect she bought it out from someone since she has a record of trying this, but whatever. Before having her first daughter, when I was around 10 years old, my mom broke the news to the family that she was pregnant. Yay! Mary wasn't happy with this because she, as of then, had been trying for years with her husband and wasn't able to get pregnant. She always had this sort of competition with my mom, and with everyone, because she had this need of being the best one in everything. She must have the most money, have the most expensive clothes, and been more successful in her career, having the happiest marriage, going to the most exotic places, but she wasn't the best. She was the only one with no children out of the 7 siblings of the family, my aunts and uncles, and she was also one of the oldest wives. So imagine her jealousy when the youngest one, directly below her husband, was going to have her second child, while her and her husband were still child-free. The horror! Her status! So, she put my mother aside one day and told her, "You know it isn't fair that you get pregnant before us. It wasn't fair that you have OP before your brother since he's older than you. But whatever. It can't be helped if OP was a broken condom or something. But you know we've been trying for years now and we're just exhausted. And we're not comfortable with trying these artificial methods, nor having a baby without our blood. So, since you're family, and we know you're not in a financial position to take care of another baby right now, what would you say I offered to pay for everything pregnancy-related after the baby's born? I would pay you this amount for keeping it as your brother's and I's baby." Of course, my mom said no. She told me roughly how the proposition went years later, but only because I was the one that found out why she was so pushy about buying my brother. Because this wasn't just a one-time thing. No. She tried constantly to convince my parents to sell them my brother, throughout the next 5 months, and even for some months after he was born. You see, my father is the son of immigrants. He has a European bloodline and is very handsome. Mary also has a need of proving to everyone that she has royal blood and aesthetics are everything to her. Hence the need to show herself as the best of the best in every aspect of her life, and she will not hesitate to do anything to achieve her goal of being the perfect woman with the perfect life. This includes pretending that she has white genes. She doesn't. We live in a very heavily race-mixed country. She was born in one of the least developed states, in a humble family in a small town, with only townspeople that had been working under the sun for generations, so all of them have dark skin. She married my uncle, who comes from a family that's lived on an island for generations, and who's also the most dark-skinned one of all the siblings. There is no way she's going to have a baby who's white. But my mom is one of the most light-skinned between her siblings, and she married my dad, who has Italian and Polish genes, and I was born with very pale skin and smooth hair. Mary's and her husband's hair are what we describe as, air quotes, bad hair. Not in an offensive way, but that's just how it's called here. It's basically super twisted and thick hair. There was a big chance my brother was going to be born European-looking. You already know where this is going, right? One day, I was minding my own business while at their daughter's birthday party, and I happened to wander close to where Mary was talking with someone. I didn't know her. And I heard how she openly complained about how her daughter was black, and how she wished she managed to convince my mom and dad to just give her the baby, because having a white son would have solved all her problems. It's so hard to move up the stairs of society when you have a black family, and not only that, but having an ugly daughter isn't going to help either. There's no way she will marry a rich man. How's she supposed to pay her retirement? She said. There was more said, but I can't remember it all. And yes, my uncle approves of her behavior and patronizes it. They, two dark-skinned people, believe in white supremacy. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention that the daughter that popped out of nowhere one day is white and looks nothing like Mary nor her husband. Well, I mean, that's not the plot twist I expected, but hopefully the kid's being taken care of. That's the important part. Moving along, our next story is titled, "'Tis the Season." If there's one time of year that brings back bad memories, it's Christmas. Where we lived, back fence nowhere Australia, it wasn't possible for some people to be with their family for Christmas. To this end, my dad always hosted an orphans and outcasts Christmas Eve dinner, to let them have the celebration with other people who'd also otherwise be alone. If you can't be with family, get drunk with friends. Now, my dear old dad was married to a particularly beautiful woman, my stepmother. She wasn't all bad, just very big in the Irish Catholic guilt trips and lazy as sin. Oh, and she was a bit promiscuous. So every year, this party rolls around. She'd have her 3 stepkids cleaning the house from top to bottom. 3 hours of chores a day. Yes, this sounds like a bad fairy tale, but it's not. By her reasoning, she was teaching us how to look after a house. Because all 6-year-olds need to know how to polish a tea table properly. FYI, apply a small amount of polish with a fabric cloth, rub in circles, then get a new cloth and rub the polish off. To this day, I've never polished a single other item of wooden furniture. Thanks for the life lesson. These chores ran the gamut. Cleaning on top of light fixtures, washing the cushion covers, polishing the glass and silverware, cleaning skirting boards, you name it, we did it. Every day after school, 2 to 3 hours of chores for at least 2 weeks before Christmas. We also had to get her approval that the job was up to her standards, so we being children often had to redo them. It led to every single one of us despising Christmas. There was no magical build-up for us. It was stressful and hard work. This story is not about that, though. No, this story is about the party itself. I was home for the holidays as an adult, enjoying the party, getting drunk with friends and family. I was 19 and having fun. That year, there were a few people who weren't locals at the party. They were there for a short job, so because they were missing family, they got invited to the party. At about 1 in the morning, my dear old dad retired to bed. At about 2, the party is winding up. I say goodbye to people and head inside to do some tidying, because I know the stepmother will just make me do it in the morning. After a little while, I head back outside to see if there are any plates left out. Australia in the Christmas heat, way too gross to be left out overnight. And there it is, my stepmother, standing in the garden of the family home, making out with some random dude. I asked, very loudly, what the heck she thought she was doing, and this guy panicked and bolted over the fence. She starts shouting at me that I don't understand. My father is distant, and she just needs to feel loved, blah blah blah. Token trite BS from a serial cheater. Anyway, Dad comes out because we've woken him up. I tell him what I just saw. He says nothing and leaves the house. I follow him. We talk for a long time about his relationships. I wish I could tell you all that he left her then and there, but it was another 3.5 years before he finally did. And the story of how he did it is hilarious and one of her comeuppance for once. I'll tell it one day. And I look forward to it because she sounds like she could use some comeuppance. I'm sure we'll all be here to listen in. Anyway, with that story out of the way, that's all the time we have for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of Life Stories. As usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Reddit content coming your way, and I hope to see you guys soon.